Welcome to Bible Science Happening. I'm Lowell Taylor. Today is a historic day, December 6th, 2017. And oh my gosh, I've been expecting this for a long time. I mean, we are talking, 2003, 2006, somewhere around there. This is amazing. Let me go ahead and show you what I am so excited about for so many reasons. And it's not all good. So let's take a look. So over here, we're going to begin with, I'm going to tone this music down. All right, let's get going here. Okay. First website we're going to take a look at, I know I'm going to have to move this up right here. Look at this, Drudge Report. Oh, Middle East on edge, warning intensifies. Erdogan calls Islamic summit. Oh my gosh, why? Why is this so huge? Look at all these articles over here. We're going to be taking a look at now. This is why it's so huge, is that for a long time, I've been expecting prophecies relating to Khomeini stirring up all against the United States. And if you haven't already done so, I want you to go over to right over here to Bible Science Happening, and then click right over here on the Prophetic Playbook Story. That book right there, it goes through prophecies from the book of Revelation, book of Daniel, relating to our day, from about 1925 to the return of Christ in power and glory. And when is that going to be? That's going to happen when all the prophetic events leading up to the return of Christ have been fulfilled as promised. So, this is a spoiler alert. If you haven't read the book, then the information you're going to see here isn't going to mean nearly as much as when you take a look at that book and you see how prophecies line up in general order from about 1925 to the return of Christ. Now, this book here, it's in story form. It's exciting. It's engaging. It's short, but oh my gosh, it's so packed with great information. You're going to love it. But now, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the things that we're expecting to happen. Right now, we're looking for Khomeini to stir up all against the U.S. What does all against the U.S. mean? Well, we're going to have to find out, but we're getting a taste of it today. Now, look at number 3, Khomeini and another king. Now, that's been identified as Erdogan. Questions off the table as of today. Now, those two will push to the west, north, and south. No nation will be able to stop them. You know what? They've been doing that for a while. I think this is going to get more intense. We'll see why. Look at number 2. The other king, Erdogan, becomes higher than Khomeini. That happened on July 17th, 2016. Okay, that's now today everything is shaping up. And let me share why. Let's go back over here. Drudge Report. Erdogan calls summit, Islamic summit. Let's take a look at that. So that's from France 24. Now, why is that so big? Well, again, if we come back over here to Bible Science Happening, and over on the right side, we scroll down to July 17th, and if we just open up that and look at that article, on July 17th, this is from, look at this here, Muslim scholars worldwide declare Erdogan to be the supreme leader for the entire Muslim world. Huge. So we think of Khamenei, Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran, supreme leader of Iran, and we think about how powerful Iran is. However, Khamenei is a Shiite. That's about 20% of the Muslims. And Erdogan is Sunni. That's about 80% of the Muslims. Do you see the difference? And now Erdogan is calling for a summit. Well, we're going to get to more articles that are going to show a little bit about that right there. But let's go ahead and go right over here. And what we're looking at here is that the Pope defends Jerusalem status quo. So now we have Erdogan saying no. We have the Pope saying no. But let's go ahead and continue on here. This is from the Wall Street Journal. Trump's big gamble on moving the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem. Now, of course, they're bringing up a number of different issues right here, but let me give you a peek into the future. Future news, future headlines. I don't know. Let's take a look. Go back over here. Bible Science Happening. Number 4. The U.S. will come from the west, touch not the ground, and will stomp upon and remove from power Khamenei and the other king. That's Erdogan. Okay? That's a war that's coming up. Now we can start to see this war shaping up, can't we? We have Erdogan, who's over all the Muslims of the world. We have Khamenei, supreme leader of Iran. We have the Pope, and you know what? More and more are coming out and saying this is a bad deal. Well, Erdogan's saying more than that. Let's go ahead and take a look to see. Right. Okay. So this is from CNBC. U.S. to recognize Jerusalem as Israel capital, will move embassy there. And Trump's going to announce that tomorrow. So this is hitting the news everywhere. Look at this article here. So this is from Reuters. Turkey says declaring Jerusalem Israel's capital will start fire with no end in sight. So one of the things we've been waiting for, anticipating, is that right here, number 3, Khomeini, and now we know it's Erdogan, that these two kings are going to galvanize. Well, that's what it looks like. I wasn't quite sure, but now with the articles and everything that's going on right now, it's plain as day. Erdogan and Khomeini are going to unite. They've united now. I mean, the Muslims are against what's going on with naming Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. They've galvanized. Trump is fulfilling prophecy right now. This is huge because, well, this is why it's even bigger than what they're reporting. Number one is that we know that this is going to end up in war. But the news is even bigger than that, because the other prophecy is, well, someone's at my door. All right. Look at this here. Number 5. The U.S. president who goes and attacks Iran, Turkey, removes Khomeini, Erdogan from power. That president, that U.S. president that does that, well, he's going to get stronger, more powerful after that. Well, he's going to get stronger, it says. What does that mean? We're going to have to see. But look at number 6 right here. This is the big one. Where does this end up? Okay. When the U.S. president who attacks and removes Khomeini and Erdogan from office, when that president leaves office, the United States will split up into 4 nations. And I kid you not. Will it happen? Well, let me explain something. What I did is that I took the prophetic events from the book of Revelation and the book of Daniel, and relating to our day, and I broke those down into prophetic points. Now, what I mean by that is that each prophetic event is going to have a beginning point. It will typically have an end point. And John and Daniel could have mentioned points in between. Okay? So, breaking down the prophecies mentioned in the book of Revelation, book of Daniel, relating to our day, I came up with 192 prophetic points leading up to the return of Christ. So, where are we today? Well, I'll tell you in just a second. But back in 2015, we were on prophetic point about number 15. That means from 1925 to 2015, we had about 15 prophetic points happen, just as John and Daniel said that they would happen in order. Then, in August of 2015, current events happened, which absolutely identified that the United States is referenced. Now, let me back up a little bit. Let me ask you, when's the last time you heard of a Bible prophecy being fulfilled? I mean, they're pretty rare, right? Well, yes and no. when we go around and you ask people, they'll kind of look around like, well, geez, I can't remember the last one. But what I found is that there was 3 chapters in the Old Testament that for about the past 300 years, pastors, reverends, Bible scholars thought and taught that those chapters were about King Alexander the Great and his 4 chief captains, things like that. However, now it's come out, that's wrong. Those chapters were never ever about King Alexander the Great. Those 3 chapters are about our day. And not only are they about our day, those are the foundational chapters for understanding the general order of the prophetic events leading up to the return of Christ. Now, what happens when you don't build on a foundation? You get a mess. And for the past many decades, that's what we've had as far as trying to understand what prophetically is going on. I mean, we've had people say, this Bible event is happening, or this one's going to happen. But as time has gone on, so many of them have been proven wrong. Well, now, understanding that these 3 chapters are about our day, some huge insights come out. And if you go to Bible Signs Happening, and if you just go over to, let me get right over here, over on the left side of the page, you can see 10 of the several huge major discoveries that I have made. And it comes from understanding that these 3 chapters are about our day. Now, one of those huge discoveries is finding out that both John and Daniel, so you got John, a New Testament prophet, Daniel, an Old Testament prophet, they lived about 600 years apart, and they both referenced a succession, that's one after the other, of 8 people, 8 kings leading up to the return of Christ. So, of course, as I'm sharing this with others, they want to know, well, which one is ruling today? Are we on the first one, Lowell, or are we on the last one? Where are we? Well, this is the big news, is that we now know, I've known for a long time, that Kamini is the 4th king in the succession of the 8 kings. And so it's almost like we have about 4 down with 4 to go before Christ comes back in power and glory. Huge news. So, getting back to 2015, current events happen which absolutely locks it in that the United States is referenced in 2 of those 3 chapters. Huge, huge news. But is it true? Oh, if it is true, then it would mean that Iran is going to stir up all against Grecia. And Grecia is the United States. And again, if you haven't read the Prophetic Playbook story, you gotta read it. It just fills in so many gaps of what you're probably seeing right now. Wow, how does he know that? How does he know? Well, read the book. You'll get caught up. But here's the other thing, is that Erdogan was supposed to become higher than Khomeini. And I just showed you that happened. And now we can see how Erdogan and Khamenei have just galvanized the relationship against the United States. Well, it gets bigger. Read between the lines. Do we really expect the European nations to get behind Trump on this move to have Jerusalem be the capital of Israel? I don't think so. Why? Because years ago, Washington funded groups to try and overthrow Assad over in Syria. How did that work out? Well, Assad is still in power, and those groups, some of them, took our money, training, weapons, and turned into ISIS. And we know how that's turned out. Well, Iran, Turkey, Russia, Iraq, Syria, United States, we've been pounding ISIS, and there's a big story behind that. But here it comes out that over these years, millions of refugees have flooded into the European countries. And so now, can those countries come out and say that they're in favor of the United States having Jerusalem be the main capital? I don't think so. There's too many Muslims in those countries who would get upset and all hell would break loose. So I think that we're going to see those European nations be against this move. And so it looks like Iran will be able to stir up more and more against the United States. And where do we go from here with this, with the news? Well, we can see that, number one, from 1925 to 2015, about 15 prophetic points had been fulfilled. And then I was telling people, watch out, we're going to have a lot of prophecies start to happen for the next few years. And then it's going to slow down for a while. But we're going to go from prophetic point number 15 to about prophetic point number 38 pretty quick, just in a few years, I thought. And I said, watch out for the next 5, because, well, the next 4, because the 5th one is really big. Now, and I itemized what those 5 were. And in 2006, Erdogan, July 17th, 2016, Erdogan became higher than Khamenei. That was one of the 4. And Iran is intensifying, stirring up all against the United States. That's another one. And then Erdogan and Khamenei are pushing to the north, west, and south. There you go. There's another. And now we can just start to see what's going on in the news, showing that, oh yeah, absolutely, it looks like the United States is headed for war with Iran. And now it looks like Turkey. They've galvanized. All right. See how big this is? I mean, we are talking a track record of prophecies being fulfilled from 1925, and it's going to continue to the second coming of Christ. So at what point are we going to say, John and Daniel, yep, your prophecies are being fulfilled, and this looks like to be a close interpretation to what they were saying? Huge news. Well, what else can we look at here real quick? I want to go ahead and take you right back over to Bible Science Happening. And over at this website, you got a lot of articles. You could just scroll down and down and down. And the other thing you can do is that you can go over here and click on these tabs over here. And there's a lot of articles that are loaded up that is showing prophecy is in progress. Bible signs are happening. And this is exciting. But it's exciting in different levels, isn't it? We know that we have trouble coming up, but we know that Christ is on track for coming back in power and glory when all the prophetic events leading up to his return have been fulfilled as promised. We now know where we are in these prophetic events. So this is great for Christians. I mean, Christians, for decades, it seems like we've been told to shut up and go sit in a corner. And a lot have. Others have thought, oh, I don't know if Christ is really going to come back. I mean, they've been saying it for so long, and yet I'm not seeing any Bible prophecies being fulfilled. And now look, we are seeing. Now, if you get the book, the Prophetic Playbook Story, well, you're going to get so much information about what's been going on, what is going to be happening in the future. And we have some real challenges coming up. But I want to end with this, is that when I started to put everything together, I found that in the Bible, it talks a lot about what the wicked are going to do to the wicked, and also what the wicked is going to do to some Christians, primarily over in the Middle East area. And then there's a lot about what God is going to do to the wicked. But what wasn't in there was a lot of information about what is going to be happening with the Christians. And so, as I started to piece things together and finding that the United States was absolutely referenced in the Bible, and I knew that it could have been, it most likely looked like the United States was referenced. I knew that for a long, long time. But it wasn't until August of 2015 that current events happened that said, oh yeah, absolutely, positively. Well, and then starting to put pieces together, even knowing that the United States is going to split up into 4 nations, I want you to read the Prophetic Playbook Story. It brings out the bright future that many Christians are going to have as they get informed and they prayerfully work with God to get out of harm's way and be prepared. Now, it's important for us to do that because we got to prepare to take care of other people who aren't prepared. So, that's it for right now. I'm going to go ahead and end this show, and we are going to have a ton of fun preparing for another one. So we will see you. You have a blessed day.